Do you feel like stress is aging you, not only maybe through, just feeling the tension in the body and noticing health concerns, starting to go to the doctor more often, not able to sleep, maybe you even see it physically on your face? Stress indeed does increase what we call our biological age. And I'm going to talk about that and then what we can do about it. My name is Rochelle Walsh, and I have been a complex trauma therapist for over 2 decades, and I have a coaching program. And I really specialize in helping women break free from chronic stress and overwhelm, with an emphasis on learning new, developing new neural pathways, relieving stored survival stress. So one of the things that I frequently encounter when I talk with women is that they feel much older than their age. And typically, even if they've been taking care of themselves, so maybe they have good diet and exercise habits, and they have, been someone who's been intentional. A lot of the women I work with have a very holistic approach. It's one of the things that draws them to me in our work. One of the things that really is perplexing is that they feel depleted. There's a physiological reason for this. There's a lot of scientific proof around this. And so while I am not a DNA expert, I'm going to explain to you in simple terms how stress does increase your biological age you faster. And the good news is that is reversible when you learn some different strategies. So when we talk about biological age, not like how many years have passed on the calendar since you've been alive, but your biological age, it's talking about the accumulated damage that has occurred to the cells, physiological changes. So stress, continual stress, actually changes the structure of our cell and the loss of function. So as we age, our cells naturally change. So stress isn't, of course, we're going to continue to age regardless of our stress, but chronic stress accelerates that aging process. So as it changes the cell, certain things are turned on in our DNA. And so we see that with an accumulation of stress, and this is really true with people that have had a lot of, trauma, that they are more susceptible to get things like autoimmune conditions. Now, is it because they have faulty DNA? We all have DNA vulnerabilities that can be turned on or off, but stress weakens our immune system and activates those things. So we know that chronic stress causes cognitive impairment. So people start to experience things like brain fog and lack of focus and memory issue. Chronic stress increases our likelihood of getting things like dementia at an earlier age. And with those genetic vulnerabilities, we're more likely to have those things expressed. Stress impacts our gut health. And so things like, IBS and food sensitivities and things like that come up with chronic stress, as well as, again, like cardiovascular disease. So anyway, stress ages us, and it can be shown on the skin, which I know of all the things we're talking about is probably, the least severe consequence of that. Stress is the biggest predictor of premature death and disease. So that's, of course, bigger than, our fine lines and wrinkles, but it does increase. They've done studies with identical twins, those who have major life stressors and those who don't, and noticed, the difference. And so it definitely impacts our skin. What can we do about it? Is biological age, can we age backwards biological age? And the answer is yes. And we know that from they can do brain scans, with certain interventions that they do to calm the nervous system. You could see a change on a brain scan in 15 weeks. So we know that with consistent stress management, we can repair some of that damage. We can get to a healthier place. So why don't we? I think one of the biggest barriers that holds people back is that most of the time, it's been something that we've been conditioned to. It's become our norm. We operate at that level. We're very resilient. We're used to pushing through. But eventually our system becomes depleted. So as we age, it gets harder for our body to sustain the weight of the stress, the impact of the stress. Body continues to have more and more complications from that. So I think resilience over self-reliance is one factor definitely why people don't, is because they've just been used to being able to power through and they think they should be able to figure it out on their own. Another thing is, a lot of people have that I work with, because I'm a Christian and I put that out there, and I love incorporating neuroscience along with, a biblical perspective, is that people of faith sometimes believe that, they shouldn't be feeling this way. They shouldn't have this going on in their nervous system when they have a strong faith. So I like to help educate them that there's a physiological component. So just like you can have a strong faith and have tooth decay, have strong faith and have digestive issues, you can have a nervous system stuck in overdrive, which is the result of chronic stress. And so again, self-reliance, feeling like I shouldn't need help, I should be able to figure it out on my own. And I always share with people that the majority of therapists do not have training in this area. You have to go seek additional training. So it's not something that it's definitely more complicated. Your brain and mind and nervous system is definitely more complicated than your car engine. And most people don't know how to fix their own car engine. So there's no shame in not knowing how to fix it. It's not a matter of character intelligence. It really is, a specialized training. And the second thing, so self-reliance is the first thing. The second thing I think is that people are given a lot of information, but don't understand the experiential part of that and the implementation, because no one tells them that they need to practice these things on a daily basis. So we're given ideas, we're given insights, we're given new ways we should think about something. We're told that we need to go meditate or do deep breathing or do a cold plunge or all the things we can be doing exercise, eating right, supplements. But it's not just about getting through one incident like a trauma or a death, although that's very important. We want to have tools in the toolbox, things that we know what to go to when we are going through something difficult. But really, it's much more than that. It's much deeper. We really need to have things that we are practicing. So all of these things that are very good tools and things, if we're not practicing them on a continual basis, they continue to be things we just reach for when we need to get out of a distressed state. But they don't become things that we're doing on a regular basis in order to really change our nervous system. And when we can really calm and really get to that still place, and we can establish, new neural networks that help us not only release stored stress in the body, but experience stressors different as they come in, because we will continue to have stressors, stress from the outside. But when we have a different internal way of processing through that, responding to this, so calming strategies are essential, but we have to do this on a continuous basis. We can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day, but it has to be the right things in the right order, and you have to do it consistently. And then there's a lot, and then once we can do that, we can change some of those internal programs that activate this stress response in the subconscious, or, sometimes it's our body holding stress from past traumas or familiar ways that we have adapted to stress in the past that are no longer working for us. So there is a method, really working through the body, not trying to figure it out in the head. I think that's one of the biggest things we can do. So all of those things that I mentioned, mindfulness, vagus nerve activation, breath work, meditation, somatic experiencing, like those things that we can do that we can really work on the nervous system and create change. Those are the things that we need to go to first. There are other layers, and if you don't do those other layers to subconscious reprogramming and emotional regulation, you're just going to end up in the same predicament. But that really can be done, and it really can change. And as we do that, I heard one researcher talk about that there was, and I don't know the study because she was quoting it, but that one stressful event can age our brain 4 years. So you can imagine that if we don't have an ongoing inner support to manage the way we respond to things that are happening around us and within our lives, that we're eventually going to be in a deficit because we can't stop things from happening. We do have a great deal amount of control over what happens within us. If we are always waiting for circumstances to change and feeling like we just need to power through till we get to the next season, we will not be able to keep up with the cumulative load of stress that we are holding in our bodies. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it just, if anything, changes your perspective on that. If you have anything that you're doing that's been helpful for you, do that thing more. Do it, create a plan. I have women that work with me through a plan. It's a 90-day plan where we really go through many layers. But if anything, taking action on the things that you can do now and not waiting until later. Dismissiveness over the impact of chronic stress is huge. And it not only affects us and our lives and not being able to live out in our healthiest, version of ourselves and live the most fully in our purpose that we would otherwise, but it really impacts everyone in our world because the people in our life that are close to us, particularly children, spouses, their nervous systems are reactive to ours. So even if we think we're putting on a brave face, doing everything for everyone else, we are really serving no one when we allow ourselves to become depleted and sick from the burden of chronic stress. It really does not have to be that way. We were not designed to live in a state of chronic stress. Sometimes it happens, and just like with anything else, usually there's so much more we can do. This is not something that's fixed by a pill. There is no magic pill for reducing the way we experience chronic stress, but there are strategies that can very effectively and sustainably change that. And so resist the idea that you need to keep being resilient. Resist the idea that you just need to think about it differently. Know that true nervous system healing really takes time, consistency. You could feel better in a few weeks, but you're going to need to continue to practice those things until they become your new norm, till those pathways are firmly established. And once you do that, it affects every other area of life. Not only makes you feel better and enjoy life more, but really decreasing that biological age, having your prefrontal cortex come back online in a more clear and focused way, being able to tap into memory, connection, handle emotions with ease. So much can change. So I hope this is helpful. I'll see you in the next video.